Hello. Have you looked around recently and thought, when did everything change? Maybe your kids are growing up and becoming more independent. Maybe your best friend moved away. Maybe your sister or another close family member lives in another state now. Maybe your parents are aging, or you've already experienced the heartbreak of losing one of them. Maybe the friendships that once revolved around your children's activities have naturally changed because the kids don't need you in quite the same way anymore. And suddenly the life that once felt so full feels different. Not necessarily bad, just different. And I think this is one of the things we don't talk about enough when we talk about women in midlife. We talk about hormones, obviously. We talk about perimenopause. We talk about hot flashes, weight gain, restless sleep, brain fog, fatigue. But what about the emotional changes that happen because the people and relationships around us are changing too? Because sometimes what you're feeling isn't just a hormone shift. Sometimes you're grieving a version of your life that no longer exists. And today, that's what I would like to talk to you about. Welcome back to the Thrive Over 40 podcast, where we explore ancient wisdom for healing, nourishment, and finding your radiance in midlife. I'm Amanda, and if you're a woman in your 40s or 50s who's quietly wondering, why does everything feel so different lately? This episode is for you. One of the things I've noticed about midlife is that there can be so many transitions happening at once. Your child gets their driver's license, then they graduate, then they go to college, then maybe they move across the country, and you're incredibly proud. You want them to grow. You want them to experience life and become independent. But that doesn't mean your heart doesn't notice the empty chair at the dinner table, or the quiet bedroom, or the fact that you don't hear the garage door opening at 10:30 at night anymore. Two things can be true. You can be happy for someone and still miss them terribly. And maybe it's not your child. Maybe it's your friend you've had for 20 years who moved away. Maybe your closest friends are suddenly busy caring for aging parents. Maybe you've moved and haven't been able to recreate the community that you once had. Maybe your parents have passed away and you're realizing that you're now part of the older generation in your family. And that's a profound shift. And sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to grieve these changes because technically nothing terrible happened. Your children are doing well. Your best friend moved for a great opportunity. Your parents lived a long life. And yet you still feel a loss. And that makes you human. There's another piece of this that I think deserves attention. You can have a full calendar and still feel lonely. You can have a spouse, children, coworkers. You can have social media buzzing all day long and still miss having someone who just knows you. Someone you can call without thinking about whether or not you're bothering them. Someone who remembers that hilarious story from 10 years ago. Someone who knows what your face means when you say, I'm fine, and they know you're not. And making friends in your 40s and 50s can feel surprisingly difficult. A lot of the friendships we formed when we were younger happened organically. School, work, neighborhoods, our kids' activities, church, carpool. We didn't necessarily have to try to make friends, but now we have jobs, aging parents, teenagers, adult children, and maybe even grandkids. Households to manage, our own health and wellness, and sometimes we're just simply exhausted. So we find ourselves thinking, where do I even meet new people anymore? And if you've been feeling this way, I want you to know you're not the only one. This is one of the reasons why I love Ayurveda so much. Ayurveda teaches us to pay attention to the qualities of what is happening in our lives. And midlife can bring a lot of vata qualities: movement, change, space, lightness, irregularity, uncertainty. Think about how many things can be shifting at once. People moving, children leaving home, parents getting older, your friendships are changing, your body is changing, your hormones are changing, your identity might even be changing. And even understanding yourself can begin to change. And when there is a lot of movement and change in our external world, it can create a sense of internal instability too. You may feel scattered, more emotional, anxious, disconnected, forgetful, restless. You might have trouble sleeping, or you may simply feel like you're not quite grounded in your life anymore. And this is where Ayurveda invites us to create more grounding around the change. And maybe that means having a morning routine that belongs completely to you. Getting up just 5 minutes earlier can mean a quiet cup of coffee, a self-abhyanga massage, and a nice hot shower before you begin your day. Maybe it's sitting down for a warm breakfast instead of rushing out the door with a protein bar. Maybe it's taking a walk without your phone. Maybe it's getting enough rest. Maybe it's warm, nourishing food. Maybe it's creating a weekly ritual with a friend, even if that friend lives 2 states away. Maybe it's scheduling the phone call instead of waiting for your life to magically create the connection. These things can sound incredibly simple, and simple doesn't mean insignificant. When your external world is changing, your rhythms can become anchors. And I think that's especially important for women who have spent decades being the anchor for everyone else. Because here's the question I want you to consider. Who are you becoming right now? I think sometimes we make midlife harder because we're trying to get back to the way things were. We want our kids to be little again. We want our old friend group. We want our parents healthy and strong. We want our bodies to feel the way they did at 30. We want life to feel familiar. Reminiscing is great, but looking forward to your next chapter is also great. Maybe it's to create something new. Maybe you need a new friendship, or a new hobby, or maybe a new tradition. New ways of connecting with your adult children. New ways of honoring your parents after they're gone. New ways of understanding your own identity. And maybe you don't have to know exactly what that looks like yet. You can be messy in the middle. You can say, I'm not sure what's next, but I know something is changing, and that's okay. If you're experiencing empty nest emotions, grieving a friendship, or you're lonely because the people you live are far away, the people you love live far away, sorry. You're caring for your aging parents, you've lost someone you love, or simply feel like you're watching your old life disappear one piece at a time, I want you to know you don't have to minimize it because someone else has it worse. Your grief is allowed to exist alongside your gratitude. You can be proud of your children and still miss them. You can be excited for your friend and sad that she moved. You can be grateful for the years you had with your parents and still ache because they are gone. You can love your life and still recognize parts of it are ending. And that's just awareness. And awareness is where healing begins, because your body is quietly communicating and it's asking you to listen. And this is really at the heart of what I believe midlife wellness is all about. It's about learning how to care for the woman you are now, not who you once were 20 years ago. That's what we explore inside my Reclaim Your Radiance Foundations program. We look at the foundations that support you from the inside out. Your daily rhythms, nourishment, digestion, rest, stress, movement, and the relationship you have with yourself. Because when life is changing around you, you need a foundation. You need grounding. You need support. And sometimes you need permission to stop saying, I'm fine, and start asking yourself, what do I actually need right now? So if this episode resonated with you, I invite you to download your free Radiance Reset Guide. Inside, you'll receive 5 Ayurvedic shifts that can support your beginning journey to wellness. Imagine feeling more energized throughout the day, less bloated after meals, more rested when you wake up, calmer and more resilient, more connected to your body, and more like yourself again. Your radiance is still there. It's just waiting for you to reclaim it. And if you're not ready for that step, that's okay too. Start by simply listening to your body, to your emotions, to that little voice inside you that may be saying something is changing. And instead of being afraid of that change, what if you became curious about it? What if it wasn't the end of your story? What if it's the beginning of a chapter where you finally have room to discover parts of yourself that got buried underneath motherhood, caregiving, work, and everyone else's needs? Maybe this season isn't asking you to hold on tighter, but it's asking you to root deeper, to soften, to nourish, to reconnect, and to remember that your radiance was never dependent on who was sitting at your table. Your radiance has been within you all along. And you may simply be entering a season where you're finally learning how to let it shine in a new way. So thank you so much for spending your time with me today. And if you know another woman who is quietly navigating an empty nest, changing friendships, aging parents' grief, or simply wondering, who am I now? Please send this episode to her. Sometimes knowing we're not the only ones going through a change can be the first step towards feeling grounded again. Your body is quietly communicating, and it's asking you to listen. Until next time, take gentle, meaningful care of yourself.